Welcome back, Truth Seeker. Want to talk about something that's been in the headlines in recent days, even the mainstream reporting on it. Did the Simpsons predict the Ukrainian refugee crisis? And this goes back to a 2011 episode in the 23rd season, debuted September 25th, and it happened to be the 487th episode. And of course, the Jesuits just turned 487 years old on August 15th. We're going to look at how this looks like it's beyond coincidence in just a moment. But also today, the day of this broadcast, March 11th, 2022. Today, scattered in the headlines, Alec Baldwin says in legal filing as of today that the Ukrainian woman, Helena Hutchins, told him to cock the gun before it fired. And of course, this is the shooting on the set of Rust in the church shootout scene. And again, now it's Russia-Ukraine. And again, Helena Hutchins was Ukrainian, so we were told. 42-year-old Ukrainian woman. But we're going to look at that. We're also going to be reminded about how the Super Bowl was just won by the team that has the same colors as Ukraine, and the head coach has the young model fiancé from Ukraine, coincidentally. And then we'll go over a few other things, including Zelensky, the leader of Ukraine, being a Hollywood performer, and his hit show Servant of the People. But let's start right here. Did the Simpsons predict the Ukrainian refugee crisis? The answer is no, they didn't predict it. The answer is, again, they're part of the script that goes by the scripture that's executed by the Society of Jesus, who controls everything from your president to your favorite TV shows, to your favorite sports teams, that's built this world around us, literally, and that's something you can prove. Not a conspiracy theory, but something that's provable, as we've been proving for 9 years straight, showing how all of these things are perfectly connected and going by scripture, because it's the Jesuits who operate on behalf of the Catholic Church behind all of this. So the episode that, that the mainstream's talking about, headline we were looking at was Newsweek, but they're talking about this episode, The Falcon and the Dough Man, from September 25th, 2011. It's funny that's the day Public Enemy put out their album in 2020, What You Gonna Do When the Grid Goes Down, and now they're saying Russian cyber attacks could take down the grid. And again, with that Public Enemy album, we were able to predict the Valentine's Day blackouts, since it shows Arizona on the cover, who celebrates their birthday on Valentine's, and a lot of places had the power turn out on them the Valentine's after that album came out. And funny enough, JFK gave a speech on weather warfare in history on September 25th, the need for weather control. And it was weather that was blamed on taking down the grid. Anyway, The Falcon and the Dough Man, September 25th, 2011, the 487th episode. And again, we talked about it in a big way, the significance of the Jesuits turning 487 years old, August 15th, 2021. That's the 93rd prime number, and on their birthday, the plus 93 international dialing code, Afghanistan, their government reportedly fell to the Taliban, and we said, watch. On September 3rd, 9/3, you're going to see an act of Islamic terrorism in the world, and sure enough, it was at the countdown market exactly 129 weeks after the New Zealand Christchurch mosque shootings, when countdown equals 129. Anyhow, the 487th birthday, the 487th episode, and how can we prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that this is no coincidence? From August 15th to February 21st, the day that Russian troops went into Ukraine, said to be peacekeeping forces, that was a span of 191 days from the Jesuit birthday, from the 487th birthday. February 22nd, the day that order out of chaos came into being, and energy prices rose, and sanctions started getting cast, and nations of the world started getting involved. That was 191 days later. So February 21st, a span of 191 days. February 22nd, 191 days later. Both dates very crucial, as we've been talking about. And look at the name of the show, you guys. The Falcon and the Dough Man. 191, just like Society of Jesus, just like Unconquered Sun. And again, the Jesuit motto, Isus Omnium Salvator, which is in their logo, the sun, it equals 274, like the Roman Catholic Church began celebrating the birthday of the sun in the year 274 AD. When Beau Biden died at age 46, he died on Joe Biden's 191st day of his age. When the last superior general of the Jesuits died, Adolfo Nicholas, May 20th, 2020, he died on the 191st day of the current superior general's age. Like we've been talking about in Cincinnati, the Who are returning to Cincinnati since the concert tragedy on the day in history that Xavier died, the co-founder of the Jesuits. When Xavier's the Jesuit University in Cincinnati, the Cincinnati concert tragedy was the day, again, that Xavier died in history. And like we talked about, that happened in 79. The Who equals 79. Xavier equals 79. If you use numerology, Society of Jesus is 79 instead of 191. And remember, if you run it the other way, Society of Jesus is 56. The last concert tragedy was Travis Scott's on the Jesuit date, November 5th, the day leaving 56 days left in the air. And now the Who are returning to Cincinnati 191 days after that concert tragedy on May 15th. The point is, 191 is a huge number with the Jesuits. The second superior general of the Jesuits, Diego Lainez, he was installed on January 19th, 19/1, like 191 as it's written in the majority of the world. Anyway, from the Jesuit birthday to the Ukraine-Russia conflict, 191 days. And again, the 487th episode synced perfectly with the 487th birthday. And you know what else is interesting? The Jesuits were created in 1534, emphasis on 34. And the upcoming season of The Simpsons will be the 34th. And as we know, that's been a huge number with the Ukraine rituals. Ukraine in gematria equals 34. It's funny to think that when The Simpsons came out, it was when I was in kindergarten, 1988. The Simpsons was a brand new thing. And I was at Catholic school. I'm not Catholic. I was actually raised Lutheran, but the reason I was at Catholic school is because they had all-day care and it was free. And my parents were poor, so they put me in all-day Catholic school care for kindergarten and first grade. But we were not allowed to talk about The Simpsons, which was a brand new thing. It got you in big trouble. The Simpsons was a big no-no. And I just think it's funny that I was in Catholic school, and then ultimately it looks like from its beginning, it's been a Jesuit Society of Jesus creation. And that's why all throughout history it's been right on point with big events. You know, from 9/11 to Trump to this and beyond. But how perfect, right? The 487th episode, in the 487th year of their existence, 191 days from their birthday, boom, it gets set off. And what's funny is if you use numerology, the Falcon and the Doman equals 92 instead. Remember the Chernobyl scare. They said that 92 Chernobyl scientists were taken hostage. That was the breaking headline. Now they're saying there's over 200 hostages, but when it broke, it was 92. And we talked about how that day was 92 days from Andre 3000's birthday, because he has the song where it starts off with Chernobyl, and then it has the chorus Earth, Jupiter, Mars. And this year, after his 47th birthday, there's going to be an alignment of Earth, Jupiter, and Mars. It's conjunction. And again, uranium, the fuel at a nuclear energy plant. Homer in The Simpsons works at a nuclear energy plant, right? The Simpsons came out 2 years after Chernobyl. And remember, the HBO Chernobyl show is perfectly synced with this as well. And here, just to go off on a tangent on that, the HBO Chernobyl special, I just want you to see how perfect they do all of this stuff. It's clearly the Jesuits. We've been saying HBO is a Jesuit enterprise for how many years? Many. But, again, this Chernobyl special came out on 5/6/2019, May 6th. Remember, it was the 56th day of the year that we got the headline about 92 scientists being held hostage at the Chernobyl plant by the Russians. And Kyiv, Ukraine equals 56, and they recently changed their name the way they spell it, so it equals that. Society of Jesus is 56, like HBO. And then on top of it coming out, oh, we're going to get to the 71st Primetime Emmy Awards. I missed that the first time I looked at this. We'll come back to that. But from the release of that special, May 6, 2019 on Chernobyl, to the headlines about Chernobyl on the 56th day of the year, 1,026 days. Again, in numerology, if a zero's in the middle of a number, it's like it's not there. Home box office, which HBO stands for, is 126. In reverse, it's 225, like the date was February 25th. Again, all of this stuff is perfectly synced up because it was perfectly planned and perfectly coordinated. And again, don't be the next person to say, there's no way human beings could do this, because really, you guys, this is basic math. I mean, if you want a business degree, you got to take calculus. It's actually a lot more difficult than this. If you guys think this is impossible, then you never took calculus, because it's way more difficult. This is really basic addition and simple planning. It's like, okay, I want to hit this number. What date do I need to put this on? Which one of my networks do I need to put this special on? Oh, here's the one with the right number. We'll play it on this network that we control, and we'll put it out on this date. Voila. It's really not that difficult. But again, it's season 23, episode 1 as well. Ignatius Loyola equals 231. Remember, we're in the first ever Ignatian year when all of this is going down. Tomorrow will be the pinnacle of the Ignatian year, the day in history that sainthood began. That's March 12th. But, yeah, it's funny that this is popping off right as the 34th season comes around. And remember, the word 1 equals 34, and that's what it's all about. Globalization, the one world order, the predictive programming for the road that's taken us there. Okay. Now, in other news, again, Alec Baldwin today is reportedly filed legal papers that essentially say that the woman he shot, the Ukrainian woman he shot on the set of Rust at the church shootout scene, like the Catholic Church who the Jesuits serve. And let's not forget that he got famous again in recent years portraying Donald Trump on Saturday Night Live. And the narrative had been that Trump's real cool with Russia. Him and Putin are besties, So in a way, Alec Baldwin's kind of representing Trump, the Russian. And then so essentially the Russian shot the Ukrainian on the set of Rust, right? But anyway, on the same day, March 11th, he files these legal papers reportedly. We won't even get into the whole 113 thing. But to go down memory lane, Alec Baldwin, his birthday is April 3rd, the 93rd day of the year. From his birthday to the shooting October 21st was 201 days later. And as we know, when you write out the Jesuit order, it's 201. When you write out Ignatius Loyola, it's 201. When you run it in reverse, his name is 231. Again, gematria is forwards and backwards. And you got to know ciphers both ways to see the totality of the rituals. But the Jesuit order, 201. Ignatius Loyola, 201. Order of Illuminati, 201, founded by a Jesuit. The name up there that should be there is Jorge Mario Bergoglio, 201, the first Jesuit Pope, Pope Francis, who's in office right now while all this is going down, the first to live in Suite 201. Again, Baldwin shoots the woman 201 days after his birthday. How does the conflict begin in Ukraine? It begins in the Donbass region, which equals 201. The actress, Hayden Panettiere, however you say her name, she just created the charity. She has the husband who's the brother of the mayor of Kyiv from acting, from the world of Hollywood, like Baldwin, like Trump, like Zelensky. But she sets up the charity to raise money for the Ukrainian refugees on the 201st day of her age. In the media, they put out the picture of her wearing red and black, the color of the Jesuits. As we've been talking about, the number 201 is 311 in base 8 counting. And here we are on 311, and now Baldwin files this legal claim that protects him, saying that this woman was actually responsible. She asked him to cock the gun, and as they did that, that's how she got shot. Anyway, 201's all over the place. The biggest number of the Jesuit order. Don't forget the coronavirus pandemic simulation was event 201, and then the pandemic was declared on this day 2 years ago, 311. 201 is 311 in base 8 counting. So again, Rust, Russia, Ukraine, Ukrainian woman, Helena Hutchins. She was 42 years old. New Mexico equals 42. World War equals 42. Jesuit equals 42. Rust equals 30. It's been 30 years since the Soviet Union dissolved on Christmas Day. You can't get any more Jesuit than that. Christmas Day, 91. This whole thing pops off 30 years later, right before Mikhail Gorbachev's 91st birthday, the last leader of the Soviet Union. Saturn has the 30-year return. We talked a lot about Saturn with the death of Helena Hutchins and Baldwin being born on the 93rd day of the year and Brandon Lee being killed on the set of The Crow and being buried on Alec Baldwin's birthday, the 93rd day of 93, and then his father, Bruce Lee, dying filming Game of Death, dying on the 201st day of the year. Order of Illuminati, 20193. Anyway, with regards to the Game of Death parallel, again, Bruce Lee died while filming Game of Death. Brandon Lee's death was compared to what happens to Bruce Lee's character in Game of Death, where he's shot while filming a movie scene. If you've never seen Game of Death, watch it. But notice that that movie came out in 79, right? 79, Game of Death. Bruce Lee, Brandon Lee, buried on Alec Baldwin's birthday, then Alec Baldwin shooting this woman compared to Brandon Lee's death on the side of the crow. You see how this all goes together? But with regards to Game of Death coming out in 79, we were just talking about this. Ukraine in the most simple cipher, 79. 7.9% inflation, record for 40 years. And mostly being blamed on what's happened in Ukraine for the big bump in the last, weeks. All of this being planned ritual. With regards to Game of Death coming out on June 8th, 6/8/79, remember, Art of War, the Jesuit translated text about the Chinese war general like Bruce Lee is Chinese. Remember, Game of Death, Art of War, the longest chapter, 68 paragraphs. Chapter 11, the 9 situations. Like how everything went into motion in 1968 for 9/11. Like how Russia popped off on the 68th day of the Pope's age, and then military operations began on the 68 date numerology, just like World War I and World War II began on 68 date numerology. Repetitive number with war. Game of Death comes out on 6/8. Chinese star. Again, Art of War, the big 68 code. Coronavirus, just all of it. Coronavirus coined in 68. And again, they've been talking World War through all of coronavirus because they kept saying this is the worst the world's been since World War II. This is the worst pandemic since Spanish flu, which came out of World War I. So they've been hinting at World War I and World War II. And I made that point in this book right here, that it's very possible that with coronavirus, they're just prepping us for a lot worse things to come, getting used to government authority and less freedom and curfews. And, the concept of martial law, all of this stuff's been out there the whole time all of this has been going on because we're living out a planned script. These people are the masters of human psychology, steering humans truly like cattle, When it's time for slaughter, they know just how to steer the cattle right to where they need them to go, right? So anyhow, okay, we covered the Simpsons piece. If you got here late, you can take that red bar at the bottom and rewind. We're through the Simpsons part. We're talking about now today Baldwin, why he's filed this legal claim protecting himself from the killing of Helena Hutchins, saying that she is actually responsible for what happened to herself. Again, he represents Russia through Trump and SNL. She's Ukrainian. Keep in mind that from the day of the shooting, October 21st, I should say the reported shooting, because who knows if this even happened. It probably didn't. Again, we haven't seen any proof that it did. Most of the stuff they claim on the TV, there's no proof it ever happened. We're just supposed to believe the story because the authorities told us. And this is how they control the world, with stories and narratives. But from the day of that shooting, October 21st, to the day Putin sends in his peacekeeping forces, February 21st, exactly 4 months later, October 21st to February 21st. What does 4 represent? The number of death, right? In Far East, in Chinese Mandarin, and in Japanese, you pronounce 4, the number 4, the same way you pronounce death. It's the number associated with death. In Gematria, military equals 44. The military conflict starts 4 months later. Shooting in Gematria equals 44, just like military. And what's funny is the day that military operations officially began, February 24th, that was the first day in history back in 1582 that the Catholic Church debuted the Gregorian calendar. February 24th, 1582. So it was the 440th anniversary, 440, that the military operation began in Ukraine. And that was the day in history on the Julian calendar, which was the calendar people were on before the Gregorian calendar, that the Russian Revolution began. February 24th, when it was 1917 on the Gregorian calendar. Okay, now also interesting. Helena Hutchins in Gematria equals 71, like the Society of Jesus, like Catholic. Also like Bruce Lee, since there's a parallel here. Bruce Lee, 71. And remember, today is 71 days before the start of Gemini. Gemini is the astrological symbol ruled by Mercury, which is the trickster in Roman mythology, and it's the 201 element. Again, in light of them coding all the 201 into the Baldwin ritual, the Ukraine ritual. And we know this is building up. They're saying, right now you're seeing certain pundits get on the news and go, this is just like when the Nazis at first began to go into other people's area. They didn't think it was going to become so serious, and then eventually it resulted in World War II. They're saying that right now Putin's going to continue to go nation by nation until he rebuilds the Soviet Union, which again fell on Christmas Day in 91. Now Gorbachev turns 91, and this is going down. And just like that, what we've been talking about, the woman who plays for the WNBA for the Phoenix Mercury, how her name Griner equals 91, like Phoenix is 91. By the way, Pisces equals 91. The biblical age, Pisces. This whole conflict starts right when Pisces begins. In the Bible, the Holy Bible equals 201. Where these numbers come from, it states Jesus will be with us until the end of the age, and then that's when revelation will happen. War, famine, plague, illness, all the things that are playing out by the ongoing biblical riddles. Again, if you guys still haven't not read my book, it's amazing how many of you guys are veterans, and I can tell you haven't read a word of my book, because sometimes you guys leave a comment or a question. I'm like, man, if they'd even read like 10 pages of either of my books, they would know that. And they're a veteran here? Come on. Some of you guys are really opposed to reading, and all you do is watch screens. I know that about you. It's obvious. It's obvious because I've hardly sold any books. And again, you guys want to know why they got us right where they want us. That's part of it. We have a society that refuses to read. They'll only watch screens. Anyway, it's 1984. But today is 71 days from the start of Gemini, and we talked about that this morning because on the day of this news, March 11th, one of the first stories was there was a shooting in Columbus, Ohio, on Interstate 71, exactly 71 days before the start of Gemini. Not to mention that tomorrow, March 12th, is the 71st day of the year and the pinnacle of the Ignatian year. Again, it's the day in history that Ignatius of Loyola was made a saint. And remember, Ignatius of Loyola equals 201, and 201 days after the first Ignatian year began, that was the day Biden and Putin met about Ukraine on Pearl Harbor Day of all days. But anyhow, Gemini could be a very interesting time. Bruce Lee's film Game of Death came out during the time of Gemini. Ended up dying on the 201st day of the year, July 20th, 1973. They saved the movie for 6 years. Movie came out about 6 years after his death. And what else is interesting is that movie will turn 43 years old on June 8th, but right now that means it's 42 years old in months, right? 42. And as we know, Jesuit 42, World War 42, War 42, Freemason 42, Math 42, New Testament 42. On that list, New Mexico 42, and Helena Hutchins 42 years old. The Georgia Guidestones, which call for the depopulation of the world, will turn 42 March 22nd. That's 11 days from today. All of this is biblical. The New Testament begins with the 42 generations to Jesus. Matthew is the first book. Math, 42. The word knowledge is 42. Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, they start their companies down in New Mexico, 42 land. Then they move them up to Seattle, where the Space Needle is, the 42nd state. And of course, New Mexico is associated with aliens. They go from New Mexico to the Space Needle City. Just makes you wonder what's going on. Some people in the truth community, they think they got it all figured out. The Earth's flat. We live in a snow globe. There's nothing going on outside. I mean, they could be right, but they could also be closing themselves off to the possibility that maybe it is something like what the theory of the Anunnaki, that they came here, they live amongst us, and they created humanity as a slave race. Anyone who claims to know these things definitively, I'd be suspicious of anyone like that. Even more in the gematria in New Mexico. Again, if you're new here, gematria is based on the alphabetic order forwards and backwards with the rules of numerology. New Mexico also equals 32, like Catholic Church, like Roman Catholic, like astrological. Think about that. It's a church shootout scene. All of these rituals are perfectly synced up with the Catholic Church, the Jesuits. Think about the United States of America with the White House with 132 rooms in it. D.C., the Jesuits have been there longer than the federal government. It used to be called Rome on the Potomac, owned by a man named Francis Pope, not to be confused with Pope Francis. 132 in Revelation also relates to the beast. And again, let's not forget that Helena Hutchins' husband spoke out for the first time on the day military operations began in Ukraine on behalf of Russia. Again, Rust, Baldwin, who portrayed Trump, who's Mr. Russia. I mean, it's amazing how many ways they're trying to clue humanity in to what's actually going on. And again, here's the post from October 21st. You know, Alec Baldwin's birthday to the shooting October 21st, 201 days, talking about the same stuff over and over. Remember, it was a Thursday night. It was a Thursday then. Again, they like Thursday because that's the Catholic day. Thursday is Jupiter Day. Peter is the official founder of the Catholic Church. And again, Thursday has the same gematria as Catholic. But a Thursday shooting, a Thursday night interview with Helena Hutchins' husband. I mean, just the same stuff over and over. But again, 201 days. Right away, we said Bruce Lee died on the 201st day of the year. I mean, just all of it right here. Bruce, just talking about the same stuff over and over. Oh, by the way, Alec Baldwin's character, I forgot. His name was Harland Rust, which is also 71. So this latest detail coming 71 days before the start of Gemini. You know, the trickster. And again, they're making it sound like this is going to go on for a long time. People are saying if we don't stop Russia, they're going to go to, after they're done with Ukraine, they'll be into the next nation until they have the whole Soviet Union back. And could this start a conflict with a NATO nation that borders these other countries? So, and remember, it could all just be the theater of war as it seems, but that doesn't mean they won't pull the power where you live and start creating real problems and say that it's a cyber attack from Russia. You know what I mean? The narrative might be completely contrived, nothing but the theater of war, nothing but mockery, but where does it go from there? By the way, Bruce Lee is the exact same as Catholic in every cipher. And Thursday is 35 and 46, just like Catholic and Bruce Lee. It was a beautiful 35 Thursday then. It's been a beautiful 35 Thursday almost every Thursday since. Don't forget when Afghanistan's airport got bombed, Hamid Karzai Airport. It was on a Thursday, exactly 35 weeks after Hamid Karzai's birthday. The Crow, for the record, released 406 days after Brandon Lee's death. 4-6. Catholic. Beau Biden dead at 46. Joe Biden, number 46, the second Catholic president. The first was number 35. JFK killed at age 46. Beau Biden dead at 46. Joe elected 46 weeks after the Pope's birthday, inaugurated on the Pope's 35th day of his age. The election called for him 353 days after his birthday, the 71st prime, and then the first woman to resign for Trump after the insurrection, which was another 201 ritual. Elaine Chao, her name was 145. Just all part of the ushering in of the latest Catholic president. But again. Oh, by the way, Game of Death released on a 93 date. Numerology. Baldwin born on the 93rd day of the year. Again, Brandon Lee buried on the 93rd day of 93. From Bruce Lee's death anniversary to the Baldwin shooting 93 days later. Again, this is the Jesuits, the Order of Illuminati. Order of Illuminati equals 201 and 93. Heliocentrism equals 201. They say the sun's 93 million miles away on average. In kilometers, it's 150 million. Illuminati alone's 150. They said the Baldwin shooting was at 1:50 p.m., 201 days after his birthday. The sun, the source of light, Illuminati being in the light, the Catholic Church worshiping the sun, all things being centered around the sun. If anything, to me, the best argument for a flat Earth, even though I don't think the Earth is flat, is the way they coded out the heliocentric model with all their numbers. Doesn't necessarily mean it's fake and it's not actually that way. They could have put their numbers on it because they figured it out and lined up the whole world accordingly, which is my theory. But I mean, you know, the numbers that they've put on the distances, it's obvious that those are manipulated. Anyway. By the way, did you guys see Volkswagen announced the new electric bus? And it has 201 horsepower, and they announced it on March 9th, 9/3. Volkswagen, the Nazis, Adolf Hitler, part of the Jesuit club. Adolphus Hitler, his birth name, 201. By the way, triclavianism is what's in the Jesuits' logo. Crucifixion, 93. What happened to Brandon Lee in 93? What happened to Helena Hutchins? by the guy born on the 93rd day of the year. Alexander Baldwin, by the way. The reason Seattle's on there is because that's where Bruce and Brandon Lee are buried, right next to the Jesuit University. Capitol Hill. And you see how the two people shot were ages 42 and 48? New Mexico's 48 and 42, so is World War. Russia's also 48. Russia, if you use the rule with S, is also 42. But yeah, here's the detail about the shooting at 150. The mention of the 1880s. I will take that call in a minute. Okay. Yeah, there's a lot more here, but we'll leave it there for now. Again, but one more reminder, Sean McVay, again, just won the Super Bowl. Yellow and blue color scheme. Ukraine, yellow and blue color scheme. He's got the Ukrainian fiance. Matt Stafford became the 34th quarterback to win a Super Bowl at age 34. Ukraine 34. The movie T-34 about the tanks that came out on the day, just a few years ago on the anniversary that became the day of the military conflict starting. It's just T-34 starts on the day, leaving 34 days left in the year. By the way, his fiance's name, Veronica Coleman, 181, the 42nd prime. There's that 42 again. And then with regards to Zelensky being in servant of the people, that equals 222 in the most simple cipher, just like how everything really went into motion on February 22nd, 222, which we predicted it would. You know, synced up by the numbers, synced up with Pluto coming around. The last time it came around was 7/4/1776, Independence Day. Putin saying that he's freeing, giving these nations independence so they can come back and be part of the old Soviet Union. Again, game of death in 79, all part of this ongoing ritual, part of this narrative behind what's behind the Baldwin story. Inflation up 7.9%, Ukraine 79. Again, Ukraine 79 with the alphabetic order, 34 when you use numerology. Two original ciphers we learned from Manly P. Hall's The Secret Teachings of All Ages. Again, just other mockery that people got to be aware of. On March 9th, Kamala Harris announced that Patriot missile systems were traveling from Germany to Poland. And again, in 39, like 39, March 9th, in 39, Germany went into Poland starting World War II. And again, just doing this stuff, putting it in our face, making fun of us. And by the way, World War II began on September 1st, 9/1. Soviet Union dissolves in 91. Right before Gorbachev turns 91 on March 2nd, this all pops off. In the time of Pisces, 91. And again, the Phoenix Mercury player, Griner, 91. Phoenix, 91. Manly P. Hall said the real establishment of the U.S. was by the Order of the Phoenix, who planned to bring about a one world order. He doesn't make it sound bad, though. He said it's supposed to be based in philosophy and justice and make quality of life better all on earth. That was the supposed original plan. And maybe that's a lie, or maybe that was the plan and it got corrupted. I don't know. I've been around the whole time. All I can see is right now it's rotten as ever. But 91's the 13th triangular number. 13, the sun and the zodiac, Jesus and the 12 disciples. Every 13th year is when the new Chinese zodiac starts. There's 12, right? So when you get to the 13th, you come back around to where you originally were. It's like Putin, he got a pet tiger for his 56th birthday. Now here we are in the year of the tiger. Super Bowl 56 was all about the LSU Tigers. On both sides of the team as the Bengal Tigers went down. In the Queen City just before the Queen goes down. Super Bowl 56 was originally scheduled for February 6th, the day in history that the last King of England died at age 56, the day Queen Elizabeth became the Queen. And again, just monarchies, all this history. By the way, they coded 201 all over this ritual as well, because they've been coding it all over all of them. And the ritual finished off 20 weeks and 1 day after Kamala's birthday. And let's not forget on 2/22, Joe Biden gave his remarks about Ukraine at 2:22 local time, and that's the order out of chaos code, which is how we had the day pegged, for what day this would probably go into motion. And again, just the whole ritual perfectly sync with the Pope, perfectly sync with the Superior General. 201 days before the upcoming September 11th anniversary. And again, 102 days after the Superior General's birthday and on the 68th day of the Pope's age. Remember, Art of War's 102, like World War. The longest chapter, 68 paragraphs. Most English translations, 68 pages. The 9/11 attack that lasted 102 minutes, where the 9/11 plan went into motion in 68. Again, just all the same stuff we talk about. Wuhan, China, 102. Sun Tzu died of Wu. There's no proof there ever was a Sun Tzu, though, but there is a proof of Father Amyot, the Jesuit priest who translated Art of War, but he died of Wu. That's what's in the history books. Wuhan, China, where coronavirus pandemic begins, when it was coined in 68. Again, it's just... we gone over a lot of this. We don't need to go over it all again, but... yeah. And we were talking about this HBO Chernobyl thing. It got the 71st Primetime Emmy Awards, and we're seeing 71s getting put all over this. We'll see what happens tomorrow, the 71st day of the year, the pinnacle of the Ignatian year. But like the CIA director said, it's going to get a lot worse. So they've told us what's to come. He said over the next few weeks, which includes tomorrow, the day after, which is the anniversary of Pope Francis becoming the first Jesuit Pope, March 13th, 2013, 3/13/13, which is 266 in primes, like he's the 266th Pope. Jesus Hominum Salvator, 266. And then the day after that's Pi Day, and then the day after that's the Ides of March, which something nasty always goes down. I have a feeling that's going to be the cyber attack day, because beware the Ides of March equals cyber attack. I also think April 19th is definitely marked for some cyber attack stuff. And we talked about all these reasons why. April 19th, the day in history that Ignatius of Loyola became the first Superior General of the Jesuits. Military equals 109, so does cyber attack. A lot of big things have gone down in history on April 19th. That's why we're going to be in Oklahoma City April 19th, educating about what's going on right now in the world on the anniversary of one of the biggest 201 rituals ever, Timothy McVeigh supposedly blown up the Oklahoma City building bombing. And yeah, I'm really hoping that event is successful. It's probably already diminished in some ways because less people are going to be willing to come because of how much gas is. But again, I think it should be a brilliant opportunity to create a spark to get people really thinking about what's going on and who's responsible. That's what has to change in the consciousness of the people. People have to become aware of what's going on, why it's going on, for what purpose, for whose benefit, and, realize that, find that survival instinct and realize there are people who've etched on stone. They have plans to get rid of a lot of us. We're not that necessary, They got Sophie coming, or whatever her name is, that robot that they announced on September 11th was going into mass production. Again, if you guys haven't read my book about 9/11 and all the things that were foretold out of that and all the things that were synced up into that ritual, again, I've made it free to download the ebook and read, and everyone really should. So we'll keep it short and sweet, Truth Seeker. Thank you to everyone who tuned in. Glad to see there's 200 people in here. We just started this channel yesterday. Not a bad turnout for day one. Thank you to everyone who hit the like. Thank you to everyone who hits the share. And hold on. I realize I need to put moderators on this channel. Luna Rostra. Thank you, Luna Rostra. Luna Rostra just sent me a check in the mail. She sent a check for $300 for gas money. And Richard Quinn is coming with a crew of people, and they said that they're going to need some gas money. So Luna Rostra, Richard Quinn, who's bringing 3 other people, I'm going to give them the funds you sent me. And it's funny, I was going to give it to somebody else, but then like the day before the check came, because I heard they needed gas money, they started making videos talking bad about me on their YouTube channel. I was like, wow, I was just about to give that person $300 for gas money because they said they needed some change to get down to Oklahoma City. You know what? I'll spend it on somebody else who's not spending the day trying to make something out of nothing. Unbelievable. But Anyhow, let me hand out a few more wrenches. And, but yeah, thank you very much for your donation, Barbara. And we found just the right person and group of people who can use the money. So, um, and thank you to everyone who also donated and said, here's some gas money. I'm keeping your guys' gas money because I need some as well. But Barbara's check's going to go to those gentlemen. And to my man Marco in the chat, I got to say, I really do appreciate what you bring to the community. I know you're a great member, but come on, man. Why are you entertaining just straight garbage? I was paying attention. I took the minute to go back over that crazy person's live stream, and I was noticing who was entertaining the conversation. I just thought, how can you even be entertaining this? This is the biggest joke there ever was. Anyway, Eric B. Great man. He came out to Seattle, and he made my day last March. It's crazy to think it's already been almost a year. In 2 days, it'll be a year since we did that. Time flies so fast, man. I've been working on this latest book for this whole time. It's gone through many different iterations, but Eric B. last year, he came out. He flew up from Utah. He brought a whole bunch of food, first aid supplies. He decked out a rental car with all these decorations, celebrating the work. And very much appreciated, unforgettable memory. And Eric B also puts up with me being a big asshole. And again, do appreciate it, Eric. Good to see you out there. Hold on, who else needs some wrenches? Okay, I gave out a bunch of wrenches today, but I will give out more next time. Dave, I hope Dave comes out to Oklahoma City. I would like. I appreciate Dave a lot. I don't know Dave at all, but I just like the comments he leaves. I like when I'm playing the music and Dave's in the chat. And he said, "I'm slow dancing in the grocery store right now, and people are laughing." That's what I need out in Oklahoma City too. That'll make the day a lot more fun. So, I am looking forward to Oklahoma City. I hope it's not too expensive for us to drive out there. But is that the real Neo the Hacker? I don't know if that's the real Neo the Hacker. That profile looks too generic. Okay, yeah, I'll give out more wrenches in the next stream, but I'm glad we're up and running, and we'll see how long until I get the first warning. It seems like I haven't created one of these new channels without getting a warning, like in the first week of putting it up, and then before you know it's the first strike, and then it's the second strike, but anyway. Okay, you felt bad for him. You were trying to comfort him. Okay, I can accept that. That's the real Neo? That's the real Neo, okay. He's just undercover these days. All right. All right. Anyway, successful first live stream. Thank you to everyone who hit the like. Thank you to everyone who shares the video. And I'm going to put in a few more hours. I feel like it's been a very productive day. Till next time, everyone.